Hi, I'm Hacohen and welcome. Today I'm going to talk mainly about content creation, something that more and more people are getting into, regardless of what their profession is, or if it's some people do it for a hobby. I mean, social media began as a hobby, but today what we're seeing is that a lot of it is more focused on goals and focused on attention and money and selling products and all sorts of things like this, and which is fine because everybody has something that they're trying to sell, and everybody has something, perhaps everybody has somebody to serve, as Bob Dylan once said. And it doesn't matter in what field you are. Today you need to produce some kind of content to deliver your message with your audience, with your potential clients, with people who you might want to collaborate with people who you want to attend your conferences, your shows, your events, whatever. And I'm finding that a lot of people are sort of approaching me with all these questions regarding sort of content making, and I think it's good. It's a good time to open up this conversation, and if anybody wants, we can continue, and you can comment, or you can send me a message or something like this. This is the way people do it nowadays on these YouTube type of videos. And it's important to say I'm in my content journey producing my own thing. I'm still up and coming. I'm new to the whole production when it comes to the professional level, camera and sound and lights and all sorts of things like this. But when it comes to understanding the social networks, the power and dynamics of them, to understanding how sort of social movements and things operate, and how key it is delivering these messages online today, and having this synergy between online and offline activity. So today, as I said, I will talk a little bit about content. And for me, in the last few months, I've made various types of content. Some of it was with artists, with musicians, poets, with sport, with Pilates. I did things, storytelling type of podcast, type of thing with my grandfather. Something I recommend for a lot of people to do if they want to sort of capture memories, and it's something that is precious for the family, but also there is something that for other circles it might also interest. And I think this is also something, I mean, this is a good place to attack this issue. A lot of people say, wait, you're gonna upload a conversation of an hour with you and your grandfather. Who wants to listen to that? And the thing is, we have to remember that no one is forcing anybody to pay attention and to watch and to listen and to read the content that is published. But the thing is, people today, and this isn't for like a private person, this is for like pages and for people who are doing this on a professional scale. They need to produce a lot of content, a lot of posts, to share a lot of pictures, a lot of videos, testimonials of people talking about how they enjoyed or didn't enjoy their services and all sorts of things. And this is something that people experience. It doesn't matter in what level, but it's also something that is more and more becoming, it's the new diplomacy in many ways. And I'm taking a course at the moment with Arik Segal, a really wonderful guy. It's funded by the American Embassy, and they took all sorts of professionals who work in the field of peace building and shared society type of NGOs. And we're talking all about these type of issues and in the modern age, and it's amazing some of the things that are happening, because there's the cutting edge between different fields is intersecting quite rapidly, and with big data and AI, artificial intelligence, and all sorts of technology, we have the ability to compute and understand the world and understand humans better than they understand themselves. And one of the things we deal with in the course is this power dynamic and how it's whether it's well, I'm going to say whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think it's a little bit more deeper than that, but because we're talking in terms of like conflict resolution type of practitioners and stuff like this, people who come from let's say political background or whatever, we do also talk about issues like this. I think one thing that really stuck with me is something that I think they called Cambridge Analytica or something like this. They did one of those "what kind of animal are you" quiz on Facebook, and millions of people did that, and that was backed by literature and psychology of whether you are agreeable to openness, if you're openness, your varying degree of openness, whether or not you're introverted, extroverted, all these types of psychological things that have validity, academic validity, and based on that, they did the targeting of the message to the people. So the political message, if they know what sort of your psychological, what type of a person you are, they know how to approach you, what sort of a message. And this is quite futuristic, and it's quite interesting. Because at the end of the day, these platforms, they're very personalized to your needs, and people trying to target are, instead of in the past where everyone would gather around and wait and watch the TV together and the commercial was the main thing, now people are more individualistic, and the timeline, everybody's timeline is individualized. It's their own, it's based on their own activities on these platforms. And each platform also, you deliver a different message. You're not going to deliver the same message on Instagram as you are on LinkedIn or as you are on Facebook. And I think that for a lot of people, it doesn't matter what's, I mean, a lot of people understand it and whatever. It's not that I was going to say that they don't understand it, but it takes a lot of time and resource and energy to open a new account. To open a new page, to develop a brand, to do whatever, and sometimes people aren't familiar with a, like I was talking to somebody today. She didn't do Facebook. She was in Instagram, and now she opened a Facebook. What was a private user? This is why I talked to her. I told her you shouldn't use a private user. You need to be a page. She has a tattoo shop, a tattoo business. I mean, not a shop. A business. She's a tattoo artist, and she was using a personal Facebook profile, and her messages were fine. And I talked to her, and she said, "Oh, I don't know. I'm new to Facebook. I'm not sure." And I said, "It's not the problem. Is not the message, because her product, the content that she was producing." That she is producing, the pictures, the aesthetic level, the branding, and all sorts of things was on point. It's what's called Instagram ready. Sort of, it came from. She has following on Instagram, and now she's making the change to Facebook, and she needs to realize that she should open a Facebook page, because today you shouldn't upload content from a personal user, from a personal profile, if it has some sort of a business, if it's not just fun and friendly, and if it's like, oh, this is what I'm doing, this is my Pilates business, this is my computer repair business, this is my car washing service, whatever. And I think that for a lot of people, there is this sort of merge between the personal and the business. And just like we need to find our work-life balance when it comes to like replying to emails or whatever, the same thing comes when it comes to our digital identity. And I will use one example from my personal experience. About a year and a half ago, I was involved with a protest for medical cannabis patients. And during a conference call, nobody knew each other, which is often the case in protests, and this was just one sort of protest, could happen in any other protest. And people are talking and trying to understand what are our messages, how are we delivering our messages, who are we contacting, who are we trying to reach. And the messages and things that social movements need to deliver, some are for mobilizing, telling people where are we meeting, so internal type of things. Some of the things are for external, some of the things are in Hebrew, some of the things are in English, some of the things are or in different languages. If you're doing something, if you're communicating, it can be Europe, it can be in wherever, it can be in Africa. If you're communicating certain messages in the native local language, that's great because you need to have people on the ground, but also very often you're trying to deliver an international message, which would usually be in English, for various reasons, just like getting support, getting financial support, crowdfunding, all sorts of things that we know, getting international aid, and all sorts of things like that. This is a big thing. And I think I went a little bit off I missed my point, but I think I touched on a lot of important issues on the way that if you're delivering content, it should be coming from the page, for all sorts, and for one of the reasons is for analytics. Analytics, it tells you how many people are engaging, interacting, and it gives you the ability to create ads, to do sponsored posts. And that way, instead of reaching the same friends, you're reaching new people, which is what you are doing if you're a business or if you're an NGO, if you're serving the public. You're not serving your friends. Your friends most likely know different things that you do. They know different activities. They know about you. Some do, some don't. Whatever, depending how close they are. But very often you're trying, just like this video. Maybe I'm delivering a message to the people who asked me sort of questions regarding content in the last few weeks or whatever, and it's a way for me to deliver that message to my cousin in Brazil who's thinking about creating content, and his son who might be able to help him create this content. And I think that for somebody in their shoes, this would be a good video to watch, and it's something that is informative. And if I touch on that, when you're answering a question for somebody on YouTube or something, because YouTube is a search engine. So if you're answering, for example, if you're using keywords or all sorts of trending topics or whatever, like if this video, if I said it's making content in 2020 or something like this, and people will search for it. So by listening to this, they will be able to see other projects that I'm involved with, whether there are collaborations with artists or with musicians, or whether it's some of the things that I do, which I'm still smaller with, different sort of personal artistic projects, which are I'm not necessarily taking as serious as I am a collaboration with a professional artist who's been doing a certain skill for many years and whatever. I don't know if I explained that last point very well. But anyway, we'll move on and get back to, as I said, there was the protest about a year and a half ago. And during this conference call, they said, oh, why don't you be the spokesperson? You kind of realize what's happening, or you have I said a few things on the phone, and they said, okay. And I was doing all sorts of things for the protest for my personal profile. And if you're doing a protest, and it was like a 4-day sit-in in the center of Tel Aviv, and one of the things, if no one knows that you're there, are you protesting on? Are you really protesting or not? So I was creating lots of content, which, as I say, no matter what you're doing, if it's a protest, if it's a studio, if it's a restaurant, if it's a cafe, if it's a school, a university, whatever, you need to be producing content, because you have people wanting to reach you, and you have this sort of attention. It's like a funnel. You get people who notice and maybe give a like. You have people who might collaborate. You have people who might really be involved. People who might join a certain program or or find a job, all sorts of things. And then out of these, maybe 1 or 2 people who will be really key to your professional or life journey or whatever. And who knows, I mean, just because this video, if it will reach 20 people and they will really listen to it and get some takeaways and really learn from it and produce better content for their businesses, for their NGOs, and all sorts of things, that's wonderful. But also if, let's say, many more people this video reaches more people and they learn from it, or through it they are funneled into other projects that I'm involved in, and then maybe they hear a video, they watch a video and they hear a song in the video and they say, I really like this song, and they say, oh, who is this artist? And they look and they see the artist and they discover a new artist, and that's great also. Or maybe they'll book this artist for a show, or maybe they'll sign them for a contract deal, or maybe this is the funnel sort of idea. And a guy called Jack Conte, who is the founder of Patreons, which is a platform that allows people to support financially creators in different ways and support them on their journey, which is really, I think, I'm looking into it. It seems like a really interesting platform for a lot of people to use, and that's one person who really influenced my some of the things I've been saying. And the other person is Gary Vaynerchuk, who is an entrepreneur and a speaker and all sorts of things. And he's the one who talks about sort of documenting. Like, for example, I was saying before, I will take this, let's say this conversation is an hour long. So I will take an hour of this conversation. Maybe I will post that on YouTube, and someone, or as a podcast, and someone driving from Haifa to Tel Aviv might listen and whatever. I might take a snippet, put it on Instagram. I might take a clip, put it on Facebook. I might put something. I'll do different things with this video. And I think a lot of traffic has been going into Facebook and Instagram and all sorts of things like this. But there's other platforms, and I think people should be focused on producing good content. The delivery vehicle for that content is relevant, of course, because if you don't have a good delivery system, it's not going to get the message across. But if a video reaches 6,000 views on Facebook and it reaches only 60 views on LinkedIn, but out of those people on LinkedIn, people contact you and booked your artist and booked the musician in the video, or saw some footage, and if the networking, which is what LinkedIn is all about, this is why people go for business opportunities, then that's great opportunity. And I think people aren't taking advantage of some of these opportunities that they have today for their businesses, for their careers, for their initiatives, for their entrepreneurship ventures or whatever. And I think also that one of the things that, well, before I get into that, I will just finish this whole trail of thought with the protest. So what happens is that a lot of people mix sort of the business or the protest or whatever in the private Facebook user account. And it needs to be delivered through a different stream, these messages, because they do need to be delivered persistently when it comes to a professional level, when it comes to a business level or whatever. People need to produce a lot of content. And when you do a lot of posting from a personal account, people sort of want to unfollow at certain points, and it's too much for them or whatever. And it's really important to understand that, because a lot of messages are delivered. Because as I said, some messages are sent over WhatsApp, over email, over Facebook, over Instagram, over LinkedIn, whatever. TikTok, which is becoming much more relevant, more people are talking about that, because people are delivering their messages for different audiences. And and I think I mentioned that in a few instances, and this is the new diplomacy. This is the way to get messages across, to get yourself heard, to get attention. And once you get that attention, then people can dive deeper. And when someone is making a very difficult decision, like buying a certain product or choosing a certain professional for their project, or deciding what school to go to, all these different things that people dive much deeper, deciding what camera to go to, what camera to buy. I mean, there's so much focus on YouTube about the battle between different cameras. Like I have a GH5, and I was debating between a GH5 and a Sony A7 III. And there's just so much content produced about that because people are searching for that. But as I searched for that, I discovered people were talking about other things like the business side of content creation, for example, or different things that and they use these trending topic, these trending topic and these keywords as a way to get the attention of the people and to transfer that attention to different channels. And then when you have your channel, it's all about leveraging it. You have it, you're giving away. It's like people are like, wait, but YouTube, it's just for free, and like you're just creating content for nothing. It's like, yeah, you create content, you give away good content for free, but then people listen to that and they say, well, I want to have a consultation session with you. I want to join your studio. I would like for you to be my therapist, my attorney, my whatever. And if you don't have a podcast, if you're not creating longer length content, then there's something, you're missing out on something, because people are searching for that. Because when they're making these key decisions, they're not just going to look at a 1 minute promotional video. And I think a lot of people are really investing a lot of attention, paying a lot of attention and money into producing these types of promotional videos for their brand, for their company, for their NGO or whatever, to get that message across. And that's wonderful, because you need to have that top tier viral sort of attention grabbing content. But once you've got the person into the funnel, and once you get them not just to watch a free 1 minute promotional video, when you say, okay, now I want you to get some money out of your pocket and subscribe and join this delegation and come to this university, etc., 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 then people are going to spend more time watching. Like, for example, my mother, she has a Pilates studio, and I was making some content with her about a month ago. I went and I filmed one class, one-on-one, her and one student that she brought, who is also studying to be a Pilates instructor. And I filmed just less than an hour of a Pilates class. And out of that, I created a 2.5 minute promotional video, kind of promotional video, with music from my friend Shuzin, who I will talk a lot. I use a lot of his music. I can talk about that a little bit later. But I created that video, and then I cut up the 45-minute class into 4 segments. And I uploaded, so far I've uploaded to Facebook, I've uploaded 3 of these videos. They've been up on YouTube for a while. And the 4th one I'm going to upload in a bit. And then I will do another one of these, and it will hopefully be a bit better. And so far, it's easy to say, oh, it's not really working or whatever. Well, the page had about 80 views. It has less than 100 likes, the page. So of course, and out of these 100 people, the majority of the people are already in the studio. They're already clients. So it's not about them. Sure, it's also about them, because the page, you want to communicate messages about the studio. You want people, you have some internal conversation maybe on it, but the main purpose of producing content for the page, paid content, something that you pay to produce, is in order to attract new clients. And the way to do that is to sponsor posts. So that's, once the page has some activity, and so far I haven't spent any money on the page, but very soon I think I will pay for some ads, because that allows you to reach people who don't know you. You can target certain groups. You can say ladies from a certain age, people who have a certain interest, people who search for certain things. And again, when you produce a video for Pilates, or it can be a chef or something, or a musician, or something, for 95% of the people watching the video of the juggler, they'll say, wow, this is amazing, this is unbelievable. But the juggler or the musician or the chef, they're also showing their colleagues, people who are also professionals in their field, and they see things in a level that an amateur or a novelist doesn't see. Like if it's a little burnt, or if the trick was a little bit off in the juggling, or if something didn't sound quite right in the mixing of the balancing in the track. All these things, and that's really important to say, because I filmed Mika the poet, and one of the videos that she uploaded, I listened to yesterday, and I was like, wait, the sound doesn't sound that great, and that's me putting my name out there, because it says filmed by Hacohen. And if the sound doesn't sound right, and this was just a rough cut that I sent her, I didn't mean for her to post it. I sent her 2 other clips where the sound sounded much better, and she posted from that also. But I sent her a YouTube link, unlisted, which means it can't be seen by everybody, just so she can see the full rehearsal. And it was about an hour, and I did everything very quick, because they're trying to promote a certain performance in 2 weeks' time, in less than 2 weeks' time. So she really wanted the footage. So as soon as I left her parents' place and drove home and arrived in Haifa about an hour and a half later with traffic, I just quickly uploaded some of the material, because it's really important, I think, in content creation, the collaboration, and to share the footage. So I just shared the footage, and I didn't listen to the sound. And then when I heard it upload, it's not too I don't sound so good. I'm not in the frame, so it's like it's her face, but the sound is me, and I'm having to put my name behind it. And I think, another interesting thing that happened to me, about 2 weeks ago, I went to record, to film a concert. Shuzin and Tomer Bar, they have a new project called Choref Kar. And I filmed them in the Kuli Alma in Tel Aviv. And the audio, when it comes to filming concerts, the audio is really key. To get audio, you don't use audio from the camera, you use audio from the mixer, from the sound person. And this is a modern sound mixer, so I didn't need to use my Zoom. I have a Zoom H6, and this is what I'm recording on right now. So instead of using the Zoom, you can just plug in a USB, and you can save right on there. And at the end of the concert, after I'd been filming the whole concert, my hand's a little bit sore, and getting in the way of people and really in the zone, and I'm like, great concert. I come over, and he had shut down the console, and the saving didn't, and the track didn't save, and we didn't know. We had a feeling that this was the case, but I didn't know until I arrived in Haifa at night and checked it out, and I realized that the audio file was on 0 bytes of storage, and I was really disappointed, and I was really because I was like, the show, it's ruined. I came, I filmed, and now I have nothing to do with all the footage of the live show. And the next day I didn't hear from the sound man, who is also a friend. I didn't hear from him until the afternoon, and I was like, oh, this isn't cool, you know, like I just really wanted him to call and be like, it wasn't about like the damage done, but it was also about that, because I cannot allow myself to go film a show and not come back with the show, because that's how I get my money, by filming a show and editing and whatever. In this project, I do other things, but I'm saying in this sort of instance. So if I don't have anything to edit, I don't have anything to eat, and I was quite disappointed. And then in the afternoon, he Facebook messaged me and said, "What is your phone number?" And then he calls me on the phone about an hour later, and he says, "Send me a picture of how the file looks. I heard there's a way. I was checking with a friend. There's a way maybe to restore the file." And I was just so happy that he cared and that he was involved. That was something that was really important for me. And yeah, I'm just looking because now it's dark. I'm going to take this off. Oh shit. I'm going to take that off. So from here to there, he tells me that there's a way to get back to rescue the file. So I searched on YouTube, and I saw some tutorials. And after watching a few tutorials and downloading some software, I was able to restore the file, which is really great. And one of the things I kind of realized from this, and why am I telling this story? Because I'm talking a lot about the collaborations and things involved with the content creation. So one of the things I realized is that when I produce the videos, I should write who is the sound engineer at the live event, because there needs to be some sort of, the same way as he's there, he's not playing, you know, he's working. He's not playing with the sound, he's working with the sound. This is his job, this is his money, this is his meal. Just like someone coming to record, and worse than just, it's not even about the one job, it's about your reputation. How is your client gonna feel? How is the band gonna feel if that once in a lifetime show is, you know, because it's one thing having people on the ground, but in order to have more bookings, in order to get your songs, your messages, your initiatives, whatever, your sandwiches, in order to get more people to buy your product, you need content. And if you're not producing enough content, then you're really missing out on the advantages of the platforms that we have, these free platforms that we have to spread our messages and to allow people to consume them. If someone wants, at the end of this video, if all someone will consume is just a picture of me and maybe a meme or a quote, and they'll know, oh, Gal did a show today, and that's all that they know, maybe that's enough, you know? I don't need everybody to listen to 35 minutes of me talking about content in English if their English isn't very good, if they're not into making content, if they're not that interested in what I'm doing, etc., etc., etc. But I know that for a few people, like my cousin in Brazil, who I'm going to send a link to this video, it's going to be relevant because he's also looking to produce content. And when you answer questions that people are searching on YouTube, on Google, that's how people get to you. And then when they listen to what you say, and even if someone listened to 10 minutes of what I said, they'll say, I have a good feeling of whether or not this guy knows what he's talking about or not. Of course, you saw me about 5 minutes ago take off before there was some sunlight, so I had the lens cap and I was playing. I wasn't sure where to set up the camera because it was facing the window, and now the sun has gone down, so I'm not sure what the exposure is like. So I'm worried maybe that the exposure is a little bit dark, but this is not my top concern right now. So even if right now my face is a little bit underexposed, my message, my recording, I have the Deity Connect neck mic connected to my Zoom H6. So hopefully for people listening to my message is clear. And I think that with regards to that, people need to realize, a lot of people, like, it's very easy to record on your phone today. You have very good quality. The cameras on the phones are very good quality, but it's important to get sound. It's easy. You set up a frame. You set up your framing. You don't need production. But when you take it to a next level, you cannot have good video when the audio is not at a good quality. It just doesn't work very well. It's unprofessional. Which is part of the problem for me as someone getting into content, that I have to learn camera, lights, sound, production. I'm also in front of the camera, so I cannot see how it looks, and this is part of the challenge. And I think everybody needs to know how to work as a one-man or a one-person, one-woman show. But also to learn how to work with a team, how to collaborate. Just like I said before about Mika the poet, I got home, and before I reviewed and edited, I sent her the files so that she can add the subtitles, so that she can upload from her page, because it's not something that I was uploading from my personal page, it's something that she was uploading from her page. And so I didn't want to have a bottleneck and have her wanting to add the subtitles, and maybe she's a night owl and works at night, and maybe I was going out that night, so I just wanted to be done with my day. So as soon as I got home after an hour and a half drive in traffic, I got home, and as quickly as possible I uploaded everything to YouTube and left. And that way YouTube was uploading in the background as I went to Breda Bakery to eat some pizza with friends. Spontaneous dinner with friends, and that way she's not waiting for me to give her the material, because it can take a long time, and she wants people to come to her performance, and time is of the essence, and all of that. So I covered a lot of topics today. I'm going to slowly start to weave this conversation. And as I said, I'm also creating content. So this video is a way for me to funnel people and get their attention and transfer it to other projects that I'm involved with. And I was going to say something about before regarding the music. So I'm quite fortunate that I have a good friend who is a wonderful musician and is involved with all sorts of projects. And he said, do whatever you want. Like, at first I was asking him all the time, and he said, listen, just do whatever you want. If you want to use a song, I trust your judgment. And that's allowed me to take my videos to the next level, because the camera is good, the sound is good, and the background music is good. It's not like a generic background music that you buy or that you get for free, or because a lot of people getting into content don't realize that there is copyright, and you cannot just take any song from YouTube or a song that you downloaded or whatever and use it in your music video. You have to have the licensing for the music video, and you have to buy that there's all sorts of services that give that you are able to download music for video and all sorts of things. But I think that in terms of when it comes to collaborating and for someone who is up and coming, who's starting to create content, one of the recommendations I have is try to collaborate with a lot of people if you can. I mean, if it depends what you are doing, because some things it's just an individual project, and if you're doing a personal always you can collaborate. But as I said, go out, film a concert, and then you have music you can use and give the music to the band, and then they can decide, and they can cut it up and decide, do they want to put up the full show for someone driving from Haifa to Tel Aviv to listen to an hour, Or do they want to put just 45 seconds or a story, a 30-second story on Instagram, or to put one track? I personally, when it comes to music, I don't like to cut in the middle of a track. I'd rather someone listen to 2 minutes out of a 6-minute song and not cut in the middle. And I think one of the things people need to realize is, should we upload maybe a certain amount of the video to Facebook and then have the full video on YouTube? And all sorts of, it's not an exact science, and the platforms and the algorithms are changing all the time. But the fact that they're changing is what keeps it interesting, and because if you want to get noticed on these social platforms, you need to think creatively, originally, and also get influence from not just originally. I mean, sure, you can learn from other people, but there isn't a clear recipe. A lot of people want to know, how do we make this video viral? How do we? And there isn't an exact recipe, but there's a lot of things that need to be done. And once the video is produced, that's not the end of the process. That's when another wave of the process takes place, because you need to share it in different platforms and engage with your audience, because you're creating an identity. Your Facebook identity, your Instagram identity is not the same. Your LinkedIn identity is not the same. Your tone is not the same, etc., etc., etc. Because the context, it's the set and the setting, it's the room. You need to know the room to know how to interact. And even if you're new to the room, to a network, to a platform, whatever, that's fine, because it shouldn't stop you, it shouldn't prevent you from trying to get your message out there. Whether you are a protest movement, an NGO, a business, a cafe, whatever it is, you're trying to get people to pay more attention to you so that you can get them to come to you. It's not just about the cafe getting people to like the picture of their pastry. It's about people actually showing up and buying that pastry again and again and again. It's about people coming to the class again and again. It's about recruiting people to the delegation after delegation after delegation. And this is a little bit, and so this is a little bit about what we discussed today. And I weave it again and again, trying to really send my message home, which is a lot of messages, but also it's me asking questions, because I'm not sure how I want my platform to look. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to write in my about. I'm not sure what description I will write in this video, because all of this content, it takes a lot of time and effort to produce, and it's very hard to have everything on point. And sometimes it's better, instead of trying to achieve perfection, just to achieve something good and get it out there and upload it and get some feedback and learn and collaborate and share. And it's not just about becoming viral. It's about lots of different things. The messages, every time you need a different message, and it's not even just about them, it's also about you. Like for me, for example, if I have a guest lecture very soon in Professor Eddie Kaufman's nonviolent resistant class in the Haifa University master's course in the upcoming months. During the semester starts in about a month, and during the semester I will have a guest lecture. And I'm going to be talking a lot about these issues. And for me, having a 1-hour conversation recorded like this is very good for me for creating my presentation. And it's like GoPro, the action camera, when you film yourself, you learn. I sent Geshem. I recorded the concert at the Tether in Tel Aviv about 2 weeks ago. And I got home, uploaded the full concert onto YouTube unlisted, and I sent it to the band. And they said, oh, we learned a lot of things. We learned that this mic was things that because I'm not a sound engineer, or I'm not part of the band, I couldn't tell you, oh, I think that you need to bring down the reverb in mic 2 and the drums. But the band, they have now the footage, so now it's in their hands to go pro. Well, they're already quite pro, they're a super group, but it's in their hands to get better from one performance to another. So that's a little bit about that. I had a good time creating this video today. I hope to create more content, and I personally really enjoy doing these types of podcast style things and just to talk. It's something I enjoy, and I hope that people watching and listening enjoy it as well. And I hope it's a way for us to connect, whether I know you or whether I don't. This is something I really like about this platform. And this is what's so powerful about this. And this is why you should be doing this also for yourself, engaging with the audience so that they get to know what it is that you do. And then they can say, okay, we want to do that with you. And you can spread your message. And when it comes to this digital peace course, this is the diplomacy. This is the way we can bridge the gap between borders that we cannot cross, and connect with people. And hopefully someone listening to this, some of the audience who will listen to this video are from Arab countries, and they cannot visit me in Haifa, but they can listen to my message, because they also need to produce content for their cafes and businesses, etc., and protests and whatever. So that's the power of the message. And hopefully I was able to give you some value during this session. Thank you if you stuck around until the end. And if you didn't, I'm not offended, because I understand that sometimes people are watching content while they're in the line for the pharmacy or in the toilet or about to go out somewhere or whatever, or that it's just not that interesting for them to invest an hour of their time, or however long this took, a little bit less than an hour of their time, to learn about something that maybe they already know, or that they would rather listen to Gary Vaynerchuk or someone who is more a worldwide expertise in the field. But either way, if you're only consuming just a little bit of it, as I said before, if it's only a picture, if I will do in the end a picture, and I will do it now, it will be a good thing. I will do a picture at the end of this session, and because, as I said, your messages need to come at different size bites. Pictures, 1 minute video, 5 minute video, 15-minute video, hour video, etc., etc., depending on the message. Because some people read books, some people listen to podcasts, some people listen to albums, and other people just listen to singles, whatever. Everybody has their own content diet, and it's a good way to, and not a good way. And what we as content producers need to think about is, how do we deliver the right size bites to the people? And when they're on LinkedIn, they're looking for a different meal than they are when they're on Instagram. Anyway, so that's a little bit, I think that's about enough for today. Thank you, everybody, and see you on the next one.